My 31M wife, 32F, doesn't want to be pregnant anymore. I said a dumb thing.
We discovered she was pregnant after trying for 1.5 years. We were at roughly the 5-week mark by that point. Over the last week or so, she has complained about feeling sick, tired, hungry, nauseous. This morning she was crying, saying she doesn't want to be pregnant anymore. In trying to comfort her, I asked, "Do you think your pregnancy is different from other people's?" The way I meant it was different than the way it was received. What I meant, is there something unique or unusual about how she's been feeling that we should be concerned about? I want to know if she thinks her symptoms and her struggle are abnormal so we can research what to do about it.
What she heard, I think she took it as if I was asking if she's less than other people who have gone through the same thing, essentially the equivalent of saying everyone deals with this, get over it. She left to go to her office angrily. While I don't know what to do about this specific thing besides apologize, I also feel ill-equipped to handle 9 months of emotional support for my wife. I want to be supportive and endure the struggle with her. Are there resources for me, the expecting dad, in this situation? Resources that cover being supportive and not saying dumb things? Any other advice regarding her emotional health and my role? Thanks in advance.
The first trimester can be really brutal. She probably just wanted to vent and was looking for support but took it as you minimizing her discomfort. Moving forward, ask how you can best support her right now. That will look different for everyone. Can you help her find some nausea medication, research some things to help her feel better, stock up on comfort foods/items, and lessen the workload at home? I'm currently 38 watts pregnant and feeling pretty miserable. It can sometimes be pretty lonely dealing with the pain/discomfort, even when my husband is right here and supportive. And hormones are wild too. But anything you can do to let her know you're there for her and you're in it together. Have you picked up any books related to pregnancy? Happy to share some recommendations if you're looking. Getting some things like that can show you're excited for the baby and want to empathize with all the stages of pregnancy.
The first trimester is miserable and scary because you're worried about miscarriage and feeling a new level of sick and fatigue. If she is having a really hard time and genuinely doesn't want to continue the pregnancy, that's a separate discussion. Has she had her first doctor's appointment yet? Her doctor can prescribe nausea medication and connect her with resources for therapy too if she's interested.
Man, the first trimester is rough. I couldn't keep anything down. Nothing was appetizing. Everything stunk. I was vomiting 3 times a day. Bland crackers help. Tell her to eat within the first 5 minutes of waking up. Ginger chews help some for me. But not really. Sprite was a lifesaver. Smoothies were too. Make sure she has something to nibble on pretty frequently. As soon as my stomach was empty I would throw up. It's so counterintuitive. Early pregnancy hits like a train. Your life is totally normal and then boom, hormones surge. You feel sick AF. Tired. Boobs hurt. Cramps. Weird emotions. And on and on. You spend a third of the time Googling stuff because you're freaking out that it might not be normal and you're worried about baby being okay. A third of the time regretting every decision that brought you to this point. And a third of your time gaslighting yourself, telling yourself you're just being dramatic. Obvious may not apply to all women. We each experience it differently. Etc. etc. Apologize. Restate your question in a not stupid way.
And then after a bit of time/space, you need to sit down and talk about how you're going to communicate going forward because you're both going to need to do better.
Dad of 3. Here. Might I suggest you apologize? And think about using the following statement going forward. That sounds miserable. Is there any way I can help? Quote. As someone with hyperemesis, I see where you were trying to go, but being nauseated and vomiting all day takes a huge toll on your mental health and quickly. Society dictates that women just suck it up, but it is literally impossible for some. Check out the Hyperemesis Foundation https www.hyperemesis.org/ for some resources to help evaluate if there is something more going on. Edited to fix the link. Sorry. Blaming it on pregnancy brain. There's a book called The Birth Partner that's often recommended. I think it might be more focused on the birth part, but probably a good read either way. I personally would not be offended after the explanation, but in the moment with the wording. Probably. I'm at the end of my pregnancy now, and I can tell you the first trimester is the hardest. I was completely incapable doing anything for a week due to nausea. It's different for everyone. It was peak awful at about 8 to 9 weeks for me, then very slowly returned to a more normal state. I didn't really need a lot of emotional support, but again, that's just me. Maybe just start thinking a bit more before talking. You don't have to walk on eggshells, but a bit more thoughtful, unless she knows you have a tendency to say dumb things. I'm the dumb things sayer in my relationship, so we never had this kind of problem. Oh, I remember when his head was halfway, telling the doctor to put it back. I was going with a C-section. Repeat to yourself. The time for asking serious info gathering questions. E.g., is there something seriously wrong? Did you mean it when you said you wanted to give birth in a bathtub of Dr. Pepper? What do you mean you don't want my mother in the delivery room? Etc. Is not, and never will be. 1. When your wife is desperately trying to sleep or is crouched over the porcelain throne. 2. When your wife is deeply upset about the realities of what this pregnancy is doing to her. Those sorts of questions need to start waiting until your wife is feeling well, or as good as she can get, and is awake and calm. During a meal where your wife has finally found a food she finds appetizing and can keep down is a good choice. Also, to be clear, I was joking, and if you ever actually ask that question about your mother in the delivery room, you will likely lose a body part or a spouse. It's quite a shock to the system feeling sick all the time. They call it morning sickness, but it really isn't. I remember hanging over the toilet after 2 weeks of puking and considering abortion. It takes time to adjust to feeling sick all the time, and not everyone blooms during pregnancy. She will need you to help keep her spirits up, so you need to apologize and just be upfront about saying that it came out wrong and you're worried about saying the wrong thing again. Maybe talk with her about the things that you have to look forward to and do some baby shopping. Once you have a scan, sometimes it can be easier because you can both start to connect with the baby. Probably something to shift your thinking on as you're about to be emotional support to your child for the rest of their life. Now is your chance to learn how to put someone else first and anticipate their needs. It's good practice for what the next few years of your life will be. Because if you think a pregnant wife is challenging, let me tell you about sleep regressions. I don't mean this to be scaremonger. Why? I hated when people did that when my wife was pregnant. I simply mean that you are expressing an attitude of fear about your wife's emotional volatility, when you could shift this into a practice round for what will become increasingly valuable skills. It does not matter if it is normal. I would beware against calling any kind of suffering normal. While it may technically be normal, it's almost like calling it acceptable. Especially as women, we are so used to having our pain dismissed as existing at an acceptable level. Why is any level of pain, suffering, etc., acceptable? Just because you're female? Just because I get periods, that means it's okay for me to be doubled over in pain and unable to walk for short periods? Would you consider that okay even if it's normal for you? Can you not just empathize? I know it is hard. I am so sorry. I would take over in a heartbeat. If I could. That really would take no effort or thought to say. Don't for a second ever compare her to other people. Pregnancy is extremely difficult. Don't dismiss her feelings in any way, either. Don't make her feel like she can't despise being nauseous because it's expected. Some women have such bad pregnancies they never want to be pregnant again. Or they do end up terminating early. You can't really know what will happen to you until you get pregnant. Make sure you are listening. If you want solutions, research them yourself and make sure they are practical. And if they don't work, don't push her or blame her for them not working. Tell her you don't blame her. If she is too nauseous, perhaps the doctor can give her something. Be supportive. If she wants to go to the doctor or something, never tell her she's overreacting. If she expresses deep issues, don't dismiss them. Her saying, "I don't want to be pregnant anymore," is very serious and should be heard with great care. Not judgment. Don't dismiss her and act like the only option is her continuing to suffer. Can't reiterate this enough. Never say, "But this is normal," or imply that in any way. You know what's normal? Suffering terribly. Tearing your V open. Having complications for the rest of her life. Don't minimize anything as, "But that's normal." The only thing you should be doing is researching how to have more empathy and show empathy. I don't think any resource is going to give you right things to say, so you don't have to think up words yourself. Just focus on validating her, being kind to her, minimizing nothing. Your wording there comes across as minimizing her symptoms. To help repair this, I'd recommend being attentive going forward. Just because other pregnant people have those symptoms doesn't mean her symptoms are less significant. Even if her pregnancy is completely textbook, it still affects her. Be supportive, not dismissive. Validate her feelings. Early pregnancy is hard. Her body is going through so many changes because it is doing something huge and amazing. Ask her if there is anything you can do. Listen to her. If she's nauseous, treat her to something she feels able to eat. Cooking smells are hard for some during pregnancy. If she doesn't know what she can eat, set out a buffet of options: ginger biscuits, crackers, cracker toppings, veggie sticks, etc. Sour candies can be nice too. Spontaneous care like that was really helpful for me during my pregnancy. I had HG. It was rough. There is a subreddit for expecting fathers here on Reddit. There are also various pregnancy apps for dads on the phone. Just be mindful of what you say and try to be empathetic. Congratulations.
I suspect she took it exactly how you meant it at the time.
Phew. Speaking at all about anything tense. During one trimester, pregnancy hormone shifts and mood swings and sickness is dangerous. I am 11 weeks now, and sometimes even my partner's breathing loudly makes me want to rage. And this is not my first pregnancy. I knew what to expect entirely. It's misery. And my misery is very different from her misery because she's the one experiencing it. I think a nice apology text with a short explanation would be helpful for this one. And then in the future, from now until the baby is an adult, maybe just only ask, "What can I do to help?" Quote. You really have a way work words. I took it the way she did. Do you often speak like this? Hi. Woman with 5 kids here. Pregnancy is wonderful and great, but also scary and horrible. First thing is to have dinner ready for your wife tonight. Get her some flowers. And apologize. Clarify to her that you did not intend to diminish her feelings. And that your intention was to ask if she felt that there might be something wrong or off about her pregnancy itself. Apologize for being unclear and unintentionally hurtful. Acknowledge how she feels. Ask her how you can help her over these next few months. Listen. And then you two need to join a couples class or group, or find a therapist to help navigate this pregnancy in at least the first year postpartum. Your support is essential to her well-being. How on earth would you expect her to know whether or not her pregnancy symptoms were differing from everyone else's? Is she a doctor? If you want to be supportive, Do the research on what she's physically going through. I am pregnant myself. When I was going through my first trimester, my husband looked up my symptoms. Asked his friends, he did the research because he cares and wants to make sure I'm okay. He attends my appointments with a notepad. We save the next ones on a shared calendar. He shows up and puts in the work. You want to be a supportive partner. You have to put in the legwork. To me it seems like you were trying to be snarky. For whatever reasons. And when she didn't agree or laugh it off, you backtracked into, it was an honest question. This is gaslighting. My dude. I feel her so hard lol. I hated being pregnant and felt such relief after I got an abortion. Worst experience ever. 0 would not recommend. If it was up to me, humanity would never have survived. F that SHT. Sorry op lol. It sounds like she's super over the discomfort, the awful nausea and just feeling bad. Try giving her space and research motivational interviewing to help empathize and deal with the ambivalence. She wants a baby but she doesn't want to feel bad. You're ill-equipped to handle emotionally supporting your wife who is supposed to be your life long partner? I got some bad news for ya. Location flag, location flag, location flag.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.